Welcome back to another episode of Checking In. It's where we check in with people in the community because people love people. If you know anyone or would love to be on the live stream or in studio with me, please reach out. My name is Nikki Check, and today in studio I have Rachela Pollock. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So lots of questions for you, Rachela. So I'll start with where you are today, and then that goes in another and another, and then I'll go back. So I am curious. You are a commercial insurance broker at Acera, so the new name for Capri Insurance through the merger, and you do insurance for adventure tourism, aviation, marine, outdoor rec. So that's all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff and hard to insure stuff.
Right.
A little bit of both.
So is that at a golf tournament where, like, if the golf ball goes in, you win $1 million, and so there's insurance for that? Is that?
Yeah, that's the hole-in-one. A lot of my specialty really has come from my passion and love of tourism. So I work a lot when it comes to fly-in, boat-in, remote fishing lodges, off-road vehicle associations, nonprofit associations. I work heavily with adventure parks, zip lines, the fun stuff. So that's always fun too. Marine, when it comes to marine, it's a lot of marinas, yacht clubs, and then we are expanding our aviation department too, which is really exciting.
Okay. So let's connect the dots now. So the love of adventure and tourism, that comes from way back. So you were the manager of Flight Center.
Yeah.
Travel agent?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. Travel agent to begin with at Flight Center right here in Kelowna.
Yep. And how long did you do that?
That was a decade.
And what got you there? Did you...
It's interesting. My boyfriend, now husband at the time, was working up here, and he ended up saying, just come up to Kelowna. And I was like, Kelowna? It's got to be the same as Surrey, right? Oh, boy, was I wrong. So we ended up coming up here for a month. I never left, and I ended up getting a job in travel. Sales is my background. So previously I was selling hot tubs over in the lower mainland.
Yep.
And I ended up getting the job in travel, and I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. My geography was a little iffy. I'd only traveled within North America. So it was a big learning curve, but I don't regret a thing. Very happy that I went into it.
So from there, back to today. So you have the job at Acera, and then you have She Dares to Travel podcast, which was birthed out of COVID. And then you have Boss Babe VIP that was pre-COVID, was it
that
not?
Was
or
last
also
year.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So talk to me about She Dares to Travel podcast. What is that?
I'm very, very proud and excited about that podcast. It started in 2020 when the world ended. So we all know so many industries got hit so hard. And in 2020, we ended up as a collective, all of Flight Center across Canada had to bring home 25,000 Canadians in a week. It was very stressful, to say the least.
Oh my gosh, Rachela, I never knew.
It was really, really hard. At one point, as we all know, you couldn't even get a hold of any airlines. So we wouldn't even call the airlines. We would just cancel. And then we'd say, we'll invoice you later and figure it out, because we all just need to get through this at this point.
Oh my gosh.
It was unreal. So that was a turning point, big time. A big turning point in my career, a big shift, I think, in a lot of people's mental thought on what they were doing and whether or not it still aligned with them. And after all of that chaos turned down, I ended up, just the year prior, got asked to be a co-host for Flight Center for a podcast. So I kind of understood the format. We did some pilot. Some pilots, and it didn't end up airing. We didn't end up doing much with it. And so I then thought, you know what, I'm going to do my own podcast. I already have the social media, She Dares to Travel, which documented all my travels across almost 40 countries. So why don't I start interviewing incredible women in tourism and travel? So it all started in 2020.
Okay. So curious, because this is from an entrepreneurial view. She dares to travel. Is it a love? Is it a passion? Or does it have the ability to earn revenue for you? Is
Great
there a
question.
business model in there?
Yes, that is what I'm gearing towards, is a business model. What started with a passion for the fact that we couldn't travel, and I just love it so much. And it was more to help inspire myself after going through such a horrible time with all the cancellations and just feeling that loss of self with your career and being stuck. So it turned into a passion. Then it turned into inspiration for myself, selfishly. And now I've brought it back in September after really taking a bit of a hiatus and redefining where I want to go with it and still bring that motivation, inspiration, and knowledge that I have, and to share some incredible stories.
I think it's incredible, and I hope there's I hope we can springboard off that and do something. I'm thinking of an idea. So Boss Babe VIP, what is it?
So Boss Babe VIP started as a brainchild between a best friend and I. It was last year. We thought about the fact that she's in real estate, I'm in commercial insurance, and we thought, we know so many incredible women that are boss babes. And I don't know many that you know, and you don't know many that I know. What if we brought them together? So we did a soft launch last September. We brought together 20 women that we knew just to get together, and the feedback was incredible. It was them feeling very welcomed in a very comforting atmosphere with other women that were like-minded and very entrepreneurial minded. And we were like, maybe we've got something here. And we always dubbed ourselves as boss babes because we'd go for lunch, and these lunches would last for hours. Kindman and I would just sit and talk, but we would talk about life and our animals and our family, and then we would talk about business. And at the time I was in travel managing the flight center, and she's still in real estate, but we started to create goals, and we started to hold each other accountable with these goals. And we would think of different ideas. Well, maybe you should go to this networking, or maybe we could kind of cross promote somehow and really help each other out. And we held each other accountable throughout the year. So that we really found a sisterhood and a bond with each other. And we're like, how do we bring this to the Okanagan? How do we bring events where women can leave feeling empowered, but also that they've met other women, and create this sisterhood so that they know that they're not alone? Because being an entrepreneur can be very lonely sometimes too.
And Rachela, do you think there are a number of organizations and groups that are women focused? Does this double dip? Does it step on toes, or is it something that has a uniqueness or a personality that maybe is different, or can it be leveraged from? Because you sat on the board for Quib. Yeah, you did. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, I did. Pre-2020. Sat on the board for Kelowna Women in Business. Loved it. Loved the connections I made. And I remember when I first got on the board, I remember coming home and telling my husband, like, I'm going to learn a lot from these women. Like, this is an incredible, strong group of women. And I feel the unique thing is that there's so many women networking groups out there right now, which is incredible, more than I've seen before. And I think every single one has its place. And Kelowna Women in Business has its place, Boss Babe VIP, Wine Women Wellbeing, and a lot of it really is community over competition. And I've heard that a lot throughout all of the groups, because we want them to succeed. And if there's women that feel more comfortable going to one group than the other, absolutely, all the better to have options and choose what works. Maybe a date at one doesn't work, but it works at another, right? So it's very interesting in the way that we do it. We do love our cocktail style events. So we do love to make sure that everyone's standing, you're mingling, there's open dialogue for communication. We love to, our last one that we did was Unstoppable at Porsche Center Kelowna. We partnered with them. So we just are looking for unique ways that when you leave, you're feeling empowered. You're feeling like, yes, I just met these women. I've got this business idea, and it's going to snowball, and I'm going to go attack the next month. So that's the gusto that we want them to feel.
So when was the last Boss Babe VIP event?
The last one we did was November 9. It was the cocktail style one. And then we have a luncheon coming up January 31st.
That's what I wanted to know. So you have another event coming up January 31st, open to the public?
Yeah, absolutely.
And where is it at?
So it's at Bernie's Supper Club in
Yes.
the movie theater.
Yep.
And it's wonderful because we love for the luncheons to showcase the business. So, and of course the women behind the business. So we put every attendee's business logo up on the big screen. So they can
Okay.
have it on the big screen. We have Esther Pike from Action Edge
Yep.
Business Coaching. Many of you know. She's going to walk us through goal setting, but in a way where it's aligning your values. And the key that she said to me that I absolutely love and I'm excited to hear more about is, are we setting our goals based on somebody else's goals or because they've succeeded?
Expectations.
Or is it something where we've set this goal and it's for us personally? And it's okay that someone else has maybe failed at that goal because it's different for us. So it's really setting up this year with that intention in mind. And Kainan and I love goal setting. So it's so important to start your year off right.
Well, I wouldn't mind diving into goals for a second. So there is a group of people that maybe think New Year's resolutions are nonsense, or even something around mental health that maybe it doesn't serve an individual well. But I think there's different ways that you can narrate it or categorize it that is positive. And I can tell you, and I've said it before on other checking-ins, you can open up our financial statements and you can pick which years we had goals and which years we didn't. So I do think there's an enormous amount of value that comes out of goals, and I think there's no rules to how they can be created or how they can be measured or tracked or managed. So I'm excited to hear about the January 31st event. I'm going to register, and I encourage other people to register. And then I'm curious, your goal driven, does that find its place both in your employment, your commercial insurance, your Dare to Travel podcast, your Boss Babe, and anything else that you're cooking up?
Right now, that's enough. That's good. I'm very, very happy with those three that are on my plate right now. And I love the question. And I feel that my word, a lot of people will pick a word for a year that resonates with them. Last year, the word was connection. This year, it's align. So for me, I have these incredible things going on. I've got the podcast, Boss Babe. I'm meeting incredible people through commercial insurance and business. How do I align all of them? How do I make it so that when I'm speaking to someone on a podcast, maybe I can introduce them to a commercial client of mine that I have, and they could maybe collaborate in the future? So it's really trying to figure out, the alignment, I feel, is a goal in itself, if you want to put it that way.
Love it. I absolutely love it. So if I can, and I'm probably putting you on the spot, and I don't mean to, travel has changed quite significantly and years ago in the way that people can book their own, and we can debate this all day. Yes. You could book your own, but we know what's going to happen when there's any changes, or there's huge value in a travel agent. Is there, I find things are quite cyclical. If you look at the financial industry, you'll see them opening branches and then they're closing branches, and then you have tellers and then you don't have tellers. So is there a cycle happening in travel that has the value of the agent coming back?
Yes. I think what we saw in 2020 is that travel agents were needed more than ever. And trying to figure out entry exit requirements for a country, whether or not you're allowed to enter a country, what visas you need is one thing outside of COVID, but then bringing that on top of it, it just added another layer. And then it was the rules, the regulations, the airports, the airlines, what you could do, what you couldn't. So it's very multifaceted. So to put it into perspective, when we ended up, when flights ended up doing a lot of layoffs, they ended up closing a lot of bricks and mortar shops. And as a lot of businesses found out, they didn't need to pay for the larger overhead. Many work from home, which a lot of agents still do to this day. But it ended up almost becoming, from what I hear from my colleagues that are still in the industry, it ended up being this this flow where it was nothing. Then all of a sudden it was an influx, and everybody needed a travel agent. And now all the people that went on and moved on to other careers, they didn't have enough people to keep up with the demand.
Oh my goodness.
So they're inundated now, and now they're always constantly looking for more agents. And it was an incredible job for the time that I did it. I got to see the world, absolutely see the world. It's a work hard, play hard mentality, but it really incredible. So I feel like you'll always need a travel agent. And my biggest question I ask people is, when you're on a holiday and you have a flight change, do you want to be dealing with it, or do you want someone else to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in the end, you're usually paying the exact same as you would online, but they give you the options. There might be a booking fee you pay,
sure,
but you're paying for a service.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rachela, thank you very much for coming in and speaking with us. I really enjoyed having you in studio, and can't wait to connect with you in community, and very excited to see what you got going on next time.
I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.